turn with me. I'll try not to keep you too long because I don't got a lot of stuff going on. But I just wanted to share with you a few things. Can I share with you a few things? Amen. Galatians chapter 4, verse 22. Galatians chapter 4, verse 22. I know I didn't put that on the list, but I need to get it. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. That's not right. 522. 522. I always say it. I always say it wrong. 522. I'm sorry. I always say it wrong. But fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. Against such there is no law. Let's say it one more time. Verse 3. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. We're going to talk about the first fruit of the Spirit tonight. We're talking about love. And what God does in love. Amen. What He accomplishes in love. What He's able to do through love. I'm going to talk to you just a few things that I want you to get into your spirit. Number one, love is sacrifice. Number two, love is connection. Number three, love is completion. Write it down. Sacrifice, connection, and completion. And when you get those three things, the fruit of the Spirit is it's flowing in your life. Those three things will come out of love. If you have your Bible, turn with me to John chapter 15, verse 13. John 15, verse 13. Hallelujah. I keep fading in and out. It sounds like to me. Hallelujah. Greater love hath no man than this, that He laid down His life for His friends. I want to talk to you for just a second about what Jesus did for you. How many know John 3:16? I'm a little loud up here. I don't know. Up in the monitor area, I'm a little loud. And so, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that He did what? That whosoever should not perish but have. For God sent not His Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through Him might be saved. John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. I just want to share with you for just a few minutes tonight that God so loved you that He sacrificed for you, He connected with you, and He completes you. And so I just want to share with you for a few minutes. If you'll give me 25 minutes. Okay, 30. Just give me some time. And I'll get through this, and you'll get through this, and we'll have by the time you leave here, you'll go, I never thought of it that way, because I never thought of it that way, and I've been in church for a long time. But I've never thought that, number one, because of the sacrifice that God gave us, He gave His only begotten Son. And love has to have a sacrifice to it. Love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Love you, man. Amen. Thank you so much. Listen. God loves us so very much that He sacrificed for us. If you are truly in love with somebody, you will sacrifice for them. Amen. You'll do everything in your power to sacrifice for them. You'll turn it, or you'll do whatever. You'll listen. What's that song? What's that song? I'll throw my hair on a blade for you. What's that song? Grenade for you, whatever it is. I don't know what that song is. So you know what I'm talking about. They sang it like all the time, like 5 years ago. Okay? I'll do everything for you that I can do for you. I'll throw my life in front of a bullet for you. I'll do whatever I can because I love you. And so God has a question for you. Do you truly love the Lord? Have you sacrificed for Jesus? Have you done anything really for God? Listen, I know He did everything for you. We act like we don't have to do anything, but He did everything for us. That's true. But there's some things we've got to sacrifice in order to be in love with God. What do you mean sacrifice? Number one, you got to sacrifice your will. It's not about you.
Amen. Come on.
I know we had a good move of the Holy Ghost, but hang on with me just a minute. Come on. You've got to sacrifice your will. It can't be what you want, baby. This isn't Burger King, and you can't have it your way, and you can't do it the way you want to do it. You've got to do it the way God says do it, or your life's going to be hell, and then you're going to go to hell. But that's up to you. Whatever you want to do. However you want to live your life, then baby, live it. If you want to live your life and make some of the stupidest choices you've ever made in your life, and there's going to come a time when you can't come back from your choices.
Amen. Great job.
I'm going to give it a shot. Lord, help me in the name of Jesus. There comes a time, listen, Lindsay's graduating, and Kelsey's graduating, and Abby's graduating, and who else graduating? She's graduating. This is the best time of your life. Because you have your whole life in front of you. But what you guys do today affects your life for the rest of your life. Oh, no, I really did.
No.
That's the truth. The decisions you're making right now, today, will affect the rest of your life. I was on a band trip. And there's a young man there that he said he wants to be a youth pastor. Sitting behind us. And I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I'm going to get a chance to talk to him. Because the second he says youth pastor, every decision he makes affects the rest of his life. Because somebody will bring up something from 30 years ago when he's 40 years old. I remember you on a band trip. Somebody will bring it up, and so it will affect it. Every decision you make from this point on defines your life. What do you mean defines my life? It has an impact on on your effectiveness in your life. Every situation, everything that you do. So when I say have you sacrificed for Jesus, what I mean is this: have you given your will over to Him? Oh dear God, I know we don't get any amens today. That's all right. That's all right. John 15:13, please. No greater love hath no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. Jesus laid down his life for you. Why? Because he loved you so much, he sacrificed everything he had. He gave you everything that he had. He pressed on toward the mark. Did he not, sister? Did he not go toward everything? Did he not give everything that he had? Did he not lay on a cross and let them hammer nails through his hands and his feet? Did he not let him tilt him in a hole and drop him in that hole? And as the blood began to splatter, did he not sacrifice something?
Come on.
And we sometimes feel like we sacrifice because we came to church. Have you lost every faculty you have? You mean I had to get into an air-conditioned car and drive to a semi-air-conditioned building? I'm always hot in here. I don't know about you guys, but it's always 197 degrees in here to me. And I got half the church that's freezing to death. I don't understand. Y'all crazy. And so hear me. Have you lost every sense God gave a good cockroach? To say I sacrificed because I came to church? After all, I could be home watching television. I could be doing something stupid. I could be out doing something dumb, or I could be in the house of God. You didn't sacrifice to come to church. We're privileged to get to come here. Listen, go around the world today. Go around the world and ask them if it's a sacrifice to come to church. If they could just come anytime they wanted to. And they could leave any church they wanted to because they didn't like where the bathrooms were at. They didn't like who was working in the nursery. They didn't like who was doing the children's church. They didn't like whatever was going on. And they could just leave the church anytime they wanted to and go on across the street. You ask anybody else in the world if that's true or... No, it's not true for them. They have to learn to get along. They don't have to worry about who's doing the nursery. They don't have to worry about who's in charge of children's church. They don't have to worry about all these things. They just go to church and they worship the Lord. Because in other countries, it's not so easy just to quit this one and go to the next one. And quit that one because the carpet's the wrong color. And go to the next one because the piano's in the wrong place. And you can quit that one and go to somewhere else. You can't do that in other countries. But here, we're so spoiled. We just think we can just do whatever we want. And that's why you have people that are so jacked up because they don't know what they believe. They don't know if they believe in God. They don't know if they believe in Jesus. They don't know if they believe in the Holy Ghost. They don't know what they believe. They don't believe if they believe in TBN preaching or church channel preaching. They don't know which one they believe. They don't know what's going on in life. They've never sacrificed and said, I'm in it for the long haul. I don't care what happens. Listen, I may disagree with you, but I'm still going to do what God's called me to do. Listen, you're not going to always agree with me. I know you find that shocking. Ease up. You're not always going to agree with me. You're not always going to agree with everything I do. You're not always going to agree with everything I preach. You're not always going to agree with every person I put in whatever position that I feel like God would have me to do that. You're not always going to agree with me. But can I share with you? Get over it. It's because God is still going to let you be whatever He's called you to be. You're still going to be great. If you'll attempt to my sermon. That's all for free. The Lord loves you. Sacrifice. Sacrifice. I'm willing to sacrifice because I love Him. I don't get to do everything I want to do. I know you find that hard to believe. You know, everything in this church doesn't run like I want it to run. I know you find that hard to believe, buddy. In the years you pastored, I'm sure everything ran just like you wanted it. I'm sure everybody did exactly what you asked them to do, the way you asked them to do it, and it was done exactly the way. But that doesn't work here that way. You know why? Because we're dealing with people. And people do their own thing sometimes, and you just want to, but they do their own thing. But hear me for just a second. But I love God so much, I'm willing to sacrifice what I want to do. What I want to do. My life was headed in a completely different direction than it is today. My life was not. Listen, if I had my choice, I guess I did have a choice, but if I had a real choice, I wouldn't be the pastor of this church. I wouldn't be a preacher. I'd be a musician somewhere doing something for money. I would listen. I'm not pastoring this church so I can get rich. I don't know if you guys do that or not. I'm not getting rich. I don't know if you guys understand that. We're not suffering. There's food in my house and stuff, but we're not cashing checks like crazy. Just so you know that. I didn't do it for the money. I don't pastor this church because I'm looking for a way to get an easy paycheck. I'm doing it because it's what God's called me to do, buddy.
Amen.
I didn't want to pastor this church. I sat right there and God dumped this church on my shoulders. When Pastor Turner double crossed me and resigned. Right there where my wife said, I was sitting right there where Ava's at, and this fell on me. I cried like a little 12-year-old girl. Oh boy. Whatever. I cried and I wept because I didn't want to pastor a church. I wanted to come to church and leave like everybody else gets to. I wanted to just leave stuff in the pew and leave like everybody else gets to. I wanted to track mud through the church and just leave like everybody else gets to. But God had other plans. And I'm so thankful He had other plans.
Amen.
My life is good. I have a good life. God has blessed me beyond measure. God is continuing to bless me. And this thing's not even begun to take root yet. What God's going to do in this house. And so He sacrificed. The fruit of the Spirit is love. And the first one we're going to is love this afternoon. And the fruit of the Spirit of love, it has to have sacrifice attached to it. Because God so loved the world that He gave something.
Amen.
David said he bought the threshing floor and he gave it, and the guy said, you know what, King David, I'll just give it to you. You don't even have to pay me. And King David said what? He said, I'll not give God something that didn't cost me something. Oh. I'll not give God something that didn't cost me anything. If it costs you something, it's precious to you. If it costs you something, you're not willing to just give it over to just anybody. If it costs you something, it has value. But if it doesn't, listen, if you're just given something, you don't care who has it. But if it's something is given to you, you give it and say, God, you have to take care of it. Oh, come on, somebody.
Come on. Amen.
I feel like preaching.
Preach on. Preach.
I told you I got 35 minutes. I lied. Got 35 from now. Here we go. Galatians 4:7. We're going to connect. Wherefore thou no more a servant, but a son. And if a son, then an heir of God through Christ. Love has to connect you. When I sacrifice my life and give it to the Lord, connects me with God. I'm no longer a servant, but I'm a son. And as a son, I'm an heir. And as an heir, Brother Garrett, how are you? As an heir, I now have access to everything God has access to. Because I'm an heir through Christ. I'm an heir through Christ. I have Christ's entrance to God.
Amen.
Why? Because I'm an heir of the same things of God that Christ is an heir to. Therefore, listen, I'm no more a servant, which is what I was, but when I connect with God, see, the problem that most church folk have is this. They sit in the pew and they never connect.
Amen.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus, help me.
Come on.
They sit in the pew and they know the stories. They know about Jesus, but they never sacrifice and connect with Jesus.
Right.
They never crucify their flesh, as Paul said, yet I live.
Right.
They never break the fleshly bond. They never get out of the pew and get into the Spirit of God. And so when they don't get into the Spirit of God, what happens is this: they produce no love fruit of the fruit of the Spirit. They have leaves with no fruit. Are you with me?
Yeah. Come on.
They have leaves with no fruit. They're not bearing fruit of the Spirit because the Spirit has not yet grown inside of them to the point that they have that love, Spirit, fruit. I know that's a lot to say in a little bit of time. You guys got it?
Got it.
Don't you lie to me. It took me a long time to write it down and get it. I heard it over and over and over and over so I can get it. So don't tell me you got it in the first 5 seconds I said it. Or else I feel really stupid. But unless we are bearing fruit, unless we are connecting with Jesus, we are not connecting with the Spirit of God. And if we're not connecting with the Spirit of God, we're not producing spiritual fruit. And if we're not producing spiritual fruit, we don't have the first fruit of the Spirit, which is love, because we've not sacrificed and given something that cost us something in order to obtain that spiritual fruit. Are you with me? So we've got to not only just... I'm not saying that you've got to sacrifice a chicken in order to get close to God. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I've got to give of myself something of God. I've got to give myself to the Lord. As Jesus was physically crucified on a cross, I've got to spiritually crucify myself, yet I live through Christ. Is anybody with me? Do you understand me? So I have to crucify myself spiritually and die to who I was, and so I can be spiritually reborn into something greater than I was. Are you with me? Okay. So now I'm connected. I sacrificed. Now I am connected. I told you we're putting up the multiplication, division, adding, and subtracting. I want to stretch you. I'm going to stretch you as far as I can stretch you. I want you to get hold of something greater than just adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing. I don't want you leaving here frustrated. I want to stretch you. I want you to leave here and go, what he said? And I want you to write it down and go find it for yourself. I want you to understand what I'm saying, but I want you to go home and think about it. I want you to meditate upon it. I want you to think about it during the day. Now, what did he say? I don't understand. What did he say? See, I want to preach those things that you remember 6 years from now. So there's a turning point in your life. There's a turning point in your life. It's a turning point in your life. Something that snapped you around. Something that meant something to you. Not just words that fell to the ground, but something that transformed your life. I want you to remember those things. Listen, I remember what T.D. Jakes preached in 1992, 94 at Crossroads. I can still remember his message 21 years later. That's speaking into your spirit. I remember what he's preached 21 years later. I wish to God someone could remember what I preached 21 minutes later. When we walk out, what do you preach? I don't know, something about fruit. I want something transformational in your life. I've got to sacrifice, I've got to connect. If I don't ever connect with Jesus, then nothing in my life ever changes. Listen, I understand. Listen, I understand. You've heard it before. You heard it before. Nobody, the urgency, there's just not an urgency. That's why we can sit in church and the Holy Ghost can be moving at 4 or 5 people and the rest of us sit there going. just not an urgency. God, that's all I have is urgency. I'm just consumed with urgency. Don't you understand? Don't you understand that this is the time? Don't you get it? We're running out of time to go risk the world. Don't you get it? Well, I've heard it all my life. Yeah, I know it's 45 years closer. Just don't you understand that we're running out of time to be playing around with God?
Right, amen. Right.
Hi, guys. Don't you understand? Sometimes, listen, I'm just be honest with you. The reason I walk back there sometimes, because sometimes y'all ain't looking at me, y'all ain't paying attention to what I'm saying. And so I go back there, at least you don't have to look at me. You may not have a clue what I'm talking about, but at least you have to look at me. Where's the urgency? And I told you this morning,
Come on.
what we'll do is, yeah, we need to do that. But Monday morning we go back to our routine and forget everything I said Sunday. And we go back to our routine and go back to our routine and go back to our routine. These folks need a change in their lives. There's folks that need changes in their lives. I'm not just pointing at y'all, sorry. But everybody. There's things in their lives that if they don't change, they're going to find themselves in a devil's hell.
Amen.
Right. Come on.
Do you understand that? It's not just preaching talk. It's not just Bible fantasy land. He's not Jesus Claus. It's not just something we say from the pulpit to get an amen. Any preacher worth his salt has such a passion for lost souls. I don't want to hear you if you don't care about souls. I don't care. I don't care how many books you've written. I don't care how many times you've been on TBN. I don't care how many times you've been around the world. If you don't care about souls, you don't have anything to talk to me about. Well, I don't like that, but I don't care if you like it or not. Like I said, if you don't like the nursery, you can find another one. I don't want you to, but you can. Hear me. Hear me. If a preacher doesn't have a burden for souls, he's not much of a preacher. You know what he is? Someone looking for a paycheck. He's a motivational speaker. And I'm not a very good motivational speaker. But one thing I am, I'm passionate about souls.
Amen.
I don't know who this young man was that stood here. I have no idea. I've never seen him in my life. I don't know how he got here, where he got here, but thank God he went to an altar. I ain't got some of y'all go to an altar in 5 years. He might get off the screen with an altar. Some of y'all wouldn't go to the altar if I gave you money.
Amen. Preach up, preach it.
John 19:30. 19:30. I'm about to wrap it up, believe it or not. I think that's right. That may not even be right. That's not right. Where did I mess up? I'm in Luke. That's why it's not right. There it is. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. Sacrifice equals connection. When I'm connected with Jesus, he fulfills me. He completes me. You know that hole that you have in your spirit? Yeah, you know the one that you filled up with alcohol for a while, but that didn't work. The one you filled up with sex for a while, but that got a little old too. The one you filled up with drugs for a while, but that got old. The one you filled up with shopping. The one you filled up with whatever. Oh, I know halos. I see all halos. I'll live. Bunch of halos sitting out there. Oh, we never did anything wrong. You know that hole? When he cried, "It is finished," he completed it. When he went on to be with God, when he committed his spirit to the Lord, the hole was filled. My sacrifice connected me to the only person that could fulfill every need I ever had. Honey, do you know this? I love you with all my heart, but you can't fulfill every need I have. I absolutely adore her. I love my wife, but she can't fulfill every need that I have. I love my children. All 4 of them are just wonderful. I love them. I know you guys don't like Olivia, but I love her. I'm just teasing, baby. You know I love you. So, but they can't fulfill everything that I need in my life. I'm so thankful that I still have my parents. They're 83 and 82 years old. I still have them. I'm so thankful. But they can't fulfill anything in my life. I lost a brother to cancer. I still have one brother whose health is not very good. And I have a sister in Yukon, and I love them dearly. But they can't fulfill everything that I need in my life. I married into a large family that I love dearly. But they can't fulfill everything that I need. They can't do it. I love them so very much, and my heart is just overwhelmed sometimes with the wonderfulness that God has given me in my life. But it wasn't until He said it is finished that I can be completed. Because when I connect with Him, it's cyclical. Because when I sacrifice my life and say, Jesus, I want you in my life, and He says, all I want is your life. And so we make a switch, and He gives me greater life for my miserable life. When I connect with Him,
Come on. Come on.
Sister Norma, do you understand that we are flawed in every way? And the only way that we are made whole is a daily walking with Christ, who begins to fill us up and who begins to fill our every hole that we have in our lives. And listen, sometimes it takes a while to get there, and sometimes it takes a while to get things out of our life because we wait until we have no other recourse but to call out to God before we ever say, Jesus, would you change my life? And for whatever reason, we wait until we're completely jacked up. We have nothing left to do but just cry and don't know what to do. We don't even know if we believe in God. We don't know anything about God. We just need help, and we don't know what else to do but cry out.
Amen.
And then we want everything changed instantly. But baby, it doesn't work that way. You spent 30 years jacking your life up, and you want God to change it in a second. Listen, there are some things that do change in a second. You will have some peace in your life.
Amen.
You will have some joy in your life.
Come on.
But it takes a while to rebuild the inside of you
Amen.
that you've allowed to be eaten up and decayed. Oh, I can't get no help.
Come on. Come on. Absolutely true.
It takes a while to rebuild everything that you've allowed the devil to destroy. It takes a while. Listen, I know it was cool to go out to somebody's house and drink and sit by the burn barrel. Woo!
Come on now.
But it eats away at your very soul.
That's right.
No, I can't help it. I got a bad case I can't help it to love. It eats away at you.
That's right. Yeah.
I know you used to roll it up and twist it tight. But it eats away at you. Now we got people chopping rocks and licking the knife. And it eats away at you. And there comes a point.
Come on. Come on. Preach it. Come
You
on.
can't get back on your own.
That's right. Don't preach it.
You know what you know. Listen, I've been down the road a time or two. And you know when the time is when you've passed that time where you can go back on your own.
Come on.
You know when you've crossed the line.
That's right.
You know it in your spirit. You know when you've gone too far that you can't get back yourself. But listen, Hansel and Gretel, all the birds eat your breadcrumbs. And so all of a sudden you're lost. And you don't know where or how to get back. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to amen it. But it's the truth. There comes a point in your life when you can't get back on your own. Because you decided to do some stupid things because your friends want to be cool. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen. Come on.
Here's what happens. Down that path of destruction. Down that path of destruction. You try to fake it till you make it, and you still can't make it.
Right.
You try to do everything, you try to act normal, try to be everything, but inside you're being eaten up. That hole gets getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can't fill it up with enough stuff. And it takes a while to get back. And can I share with you? He loves you so much that you can't go far enough that He's not with you.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Say it.
You can't go far enough that He's not standing beside you inside waiting for you to turn around.
Amen.
You can't go far enough. Can I?
Yes.
Give me 5 minutes.
Take time.
When you get to the point that all your friends have left you, all your party buddies are partying with somebody else. Oh, the marriage you thought you had is not there anymore. The kids don't like you anymore. And you're all by yourself, alone and bitter. All it takes is to turn around and say, Jesus, and He's been there the whole time.
Amen.
You can't go far enough that He doesn't follow. We act like Jesus has never seen anybody have premarital sex. I'm sorry, but he was in the car with you. We act like Jesus never saw anybody have an adulterous affair. He was right there. We act like Jesus never saw anybody drink a beer or two at 5, 6, 24. Amen? He was there the whole time. Because all He's waiting for is a Jesus with you. And He snaps into action. Because He loves you that much. The fruit of the Spirit is love. Are you bearing love? Have you sacrificed? Have you connected? And are you complete? That's the fruit. That's the fruit. Can I look at you and say, they're bearing fruit of the Spirit of love. They've sacrificed their will. They've connected spiritually with Jesus. Not just sitting in a pew. Sitting in a pew will get you. You know what sitting in a pew will get you? Your back hurting. That's what sitting in a pew will get. If you're connected, that's when you're completed. That's the only way to get complete. Aren't you tired yet of walking around feeling half full? Aren't you tired yet of acting like, feeling like you're just not really there? That you don't matter? That you don't count? That's the devil talking to you. God's there to make you whole and complete. I want you to understand something. He will complete you and make you whole and well. He will take your life and transform it. I'm not talking about something I read in the book. I'm talking about something I preached. I'm talking about something I lived. Something that I know. And I'm not talking about somebody that just told me a story about somebody. I'm talking about Jeff Nance. Me. Can I share with you my story? What He did for me. Listen. He took a dirthead kid from Highland Street and blessed me beyond measure. I grew up in this town. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the nicest houses in town are not at the end of a Highland Street. I don't know if you realize that or not. That's not the most desirable place in Oklahoma to live. It sure wasn't in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't. Can I share? Dennis's mom and dad lived across the street from me. And she had a dirt floor in the kitchen, didn't she, Dennis?
Yes, she did.
And she kept it swept.
Yeah.
The craziest thing ever, she swept that dirt floor because it was hard. Shotgun houses.
Yeah.
It's all that was down that street. The nicest house was probably the Robertsons because they had a garage. It's probably true, isn't it, Larry? Larry lived on the end of the street for a while.
Yes, he did.
That's where I grew up. I grew up in a house that was so cold in the wintertime. You had to wear stuff. You had to wear like 5 pairs of socks because your feet froze as you walk on the floor. Because you could see cracks all the way through to the outside. That's how I grew up in 1970s in Seminole, Oklahoma. And God took me from there and has transformed and blessed me. Why? Because I said yes to Jesus. And I connected with Jesus. And He completed me. He completes me. I sacrifice. He connects with me. And He completes me. I'm bearing fruit of love. What do you mean? I love people. I didn't say everybody didn't get on my nerves. Some people do get on my nerves. I'm human just like you are. I know I don't ever get on your nerves, but hallelujah, praise God. We love you too. But some people get on your nerves and work your last good one raw. But you still have to have a heart for people and a love for people and a desire to see them be blessed and be saved and be gloriously filled. You have to have that desire. If you don't, you're not bearing the fruit of love. First fruit of the 9, love. Get it ready? You got it ready? Sacrifice, connection, and completion. Stand to your feet.